Yeah.
Okay.
Morning, everybody. Welcome to this Friday's webinar. Thank you very much, Katie, for standing in while I tried to get my internet sorted. And it's great to welcome Ed. His presentations are always really popular. I'm not really surprised because I think everybody's struggling with GA4. And unfortunately, with the current universal analytics going in next July, we've all got to catch up really quickly. So for the people that are not familiar, Annika offers these webinars every Friday, and we do actually record them. And what will happen is that we will basically send the recording out in a couple of hours' time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with a poll. And then hand over to Ed, and hopefully my phone won't ring again. Sorry about that. It's been manic this morning.
It does feel like a Friday, I have to say.
It does. It's really sunny and beautiful outside. We didn't even have a chance to talk about the weather this morning.
No, we like to do that.
Has the poll shown for you guys?
Yes, it has.
Excellent. So it's just a simple question. Do you use Google Analytics? So first of all, no, I'm a student or currently unemployed. I know about internet for my personal use, but I'm not using any analytics at the moment. No, we use another package. We find that a lot of international clients and companies, they don't like Google Analytics as much. Yes, we use the current universal analytics. Yes, we've installed GA4, but don't know how to use it. Yes, we've started to use it, but need training and a dashboard, which is why we're here today. So actually, it's interesting. Quite a surprising result, but 42% have actually already started using it, but need the training and maybe need a dashboard. And then we've got 25% that are using the current universal analytics and probably haven't installed it yet. And another 28% that have installed it but don't know how to use it. So you've got a bit of a mixed audience today, Ed. So we have created different offers for people at different stages. So hopefully at the end we'll be able to show you all that.
Starting to go a little bit robot voice, Anne. Just warning
you. Have some more coffee.
It's fine.
Me and Katie are going to disappear, and
we are. And we'll be seeing you later.
We'll pass it over to Ed, and we'll come back.
Yeah, and handouts will be available. You can catch up later, but there's some really good offers at the end as well. Okay, we'll turn our cameras off now. Good luck, Ed. I'm sure it'll be amazing.
Morning, everybody. Yeah, so good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us this Friday. So today I'm going to be talking about GA4, Google's most recent version of its web analytics platform. So today what we're going to cover off is I'm just going to talk through what you can generally expect with GA4 if you've just started using it, if you're seeing some kind of differences in your figures, if you maybe haven't kind of jumped into it yet and started getting involved, or even if you've just been using it for a while, really. So this is just to kind of like bring you up to speed on a few things, just kind of lay out the expectations and point out some of the kind of key differences. I'm going to provide you with a bit of a kind of setup checklist, some of the kind of like basics before you kind of jump into the reporting. Cover briefly a little bit about conversion tracking because it's just such a big part of what you need to report on. But I'm going to spend at least half the session actually walking you through some of the new Explorer reports to really kind of help you create maybe some of the reports you've been missing, or some of the kind of data you might need, and recreate maybe some of the reports that you maybe used to have in Universal Analytics. So I'm going to try and kind of lay it out for you in the most kind of simple way possible. So hopefully you'll get some value out of this session. So just a bit of an update, just a recap on what you should probably already know. So as of July next year, Universal Analytics will stop collecting data. So this has been kind of talked about, it's been out in the public domain for quite a while now. So you probably all heard the news that by July next year, Universal Analytics will stop collecting data. And thereafter, you've probably got about another 6 months until access is cut off altogether. So you will not be able to go back and access historic data. So yeah, July the 1st next year is the day you need to be set for. So you want to make sure that you have your GA4 in place. So, you know, if you've been used to Universal Analytics, this type of reporting, then that will be no more. You'll still have access for a short period afterwards, but eventually that access will go and you'll have to move on to using your GA4 reporting full time from that date, from July. So yeah, about 6 months afterwards is where actual account access to Universal Analytics will be cut off. So by that point, you'll want to make sure that you've got historical reports backed up, because that will probably be your last chance to access your Universal Analytics data, unless Google come out with an announcement to say they're going to be extending the window, the period. So what's the general verdict on GA4 so far? So it's been out of beta for a good 12 months now. Prior to that, it was available for quite some time, probably well over like 12 months before then. So I've personally been involved with it for like at least like 18 months full on. It offers a lot of positives. People will be quick to point out the negatives, but when you start using the tool, there is a lot of positives with it. So some of the good things about it is things like higher data collection limits and quotas. So not the kind of sampling and restrictions of what you can capture versus Universal Analytics. Better cross-device capabilities, new type of engagement metrics. So it does a much better job at managing time and calculating engagement and things like that. Improved custom reporting, powerful audience building segmentation tools. It uses a more flexible event-based model. So much improved over the old kind of goal-based model of Universal Analytics. And the custom reporting element is really much improved. So some really kind of good data science you can do and analysis you can do using the data hub. And there's improvements over conversion tracking and attribution. So it's a much more of a kind of customizable tool, designed probably more for doing analysis rather than being a straightforward marketing tool right now, because some of the default reports aren't particularly that helpful. So you really kind of need to, it's a bit of a learning curve, and you really kind of need to like dig into it to get the best out of it right now. Things it does lack, so lack of account level and report level filters. So some of the ways to be able to like filter the data both in the reports themselves and at an account level. The filtering is really limited, which is a real kind of negative for GA4, and it's one of the major things that's like lacking right now that we hope to see brought into place in future. As mentioned, like the default reports, they're not that fantastic. They're a bit kind of limited in nature. So whilst there's some good stuff in there, you will find yourself wanting for more when it comes to the reporting side of things. That's why the custom reports become so useful and valuable. Other things, so yeah, no content grouping within the interface, no customizable channel groupings. Some of the metrics, the new metrics they've introduced, it can be confusing. They're very similar metrics with different slight definitions, and if you're coming from Universal Analytics, they're not necessarily like for like metrics. So you will have to understand a bit better the metrics and the dimensions you're actually looking at to make sure you're still looking at the same thing. And finally, some of the e-commerce reporting is very, very limited. So especially when it comes to like the default reporting. So not as fleshed out as Universal Analytics. But like I said, we're still at the early stages with GA4. There's lots more coming down the pipeline. There's more stuff being released week by week. So it'll only be a matter of time before some of these most wanted features are brought back into GA4. So some of the reporting differences you can expect between the two platforms. So straight out of the box, don't expect GA4 to be on parity with Universal Analytics. GA4 will produce quite different metrics in both things like user counts, attribution, data retention, and conversion counts. And most of this is due to the way the tool has been built and its approach to user measurement and the calculations it uses. So for example, user counts, this could be maybe higher or lower depending on what type of site you have and how you've actually implemented. So first thing to note is like GA4 uses a metric called active users as its default metric instead of Universal's total users. So even at a user base level, when you look into the account, the definition of a user is slightly different. I'm not going to kind of drill into the definition of all of these metrics because there's quite a few differences. So what I would do is point you towards the GA4 Help Center, Dimensions and Metrics, and just spend your own time just having a look through the different metrics if you're trying to compare like for like. You'll see differences with things like session counts. So the way sessions are calculated, GA4 works off of a different type of calculation. And very often what we're seeing are lower session counts in GA4 versus in GA3. And that's partly because GA4 does a better job in tying together sessions. When a visit ends is calculated differently, things don't time out as quick. And things like that. So you generally will find if you're comparing your GA4 data against Universal Analytics data, you'll often find that session count is lower. And in most cases, we're actually seeing that user count is slightly higher also. When it comes to attribution, the attribution between both tools is also different. Okay, so when it comes to like reporting on campaigns and things like that, the credit that is given to any particular campaign for driving a conversion, that will be different in GA4 versus Universal Analytics. And that is because GA4 is using more of a data-driven campaign attribution, whereas GA3 operates on a last non-direct click basis. So you just need to understand that the systems are both using slightly different attribution models and assigning credit in different ways. So this is just another thing when you're comparing channel performance against the two platforms and you're wondering why one's higher in GA4 versus how it was in Universal Analytics, it will be down to the attribution. And I'll show you in a few slides time how you can get access to that attribution and maybe change it if you need to do that. Data retention. So data retention GA4 is limited to a maximum of 14 months. This is in stark contrast to the 24 months of Universal Analytics. So basically what that means is that if a user returns after 14-month period, provided that they haven't deleted their cookies or anything like that, they will be recognized as a new user and not a returning user. So this is all about how long data is kept within the user data is kept within the platform before them being recognized as a returning user. Bounce rate, because of the differences in sessions and the way engagement is calculated, you'll see the bounce rate metric being different. And this is literally down to the way bounce rate is calculated. So bounce rate calculation is not the same as it is in Universal Analytics. When it comes to conversion counts, you'll see differences there also. So we no longer have like these session-based type of goals. We now have conversion events, and these conversion events are counted every time these events occur. So rather than it being counted like once per visit only, these are now counted every time per session. So there's no point in trying to compare goals in Universal Analytics against the conversions you're getting in GA4, because you're likely to see that conversions in GA4 are going to be much, much higher, because conversions in GA4 simplify every time an action is completed, a conversion occurs. So there's some definitions. I've included a bit of a glossary here. I'm not going to go too much into them, but these are just some of the ones that you'll need to look up to be aware of. So, you know, if you're going to be using GA4, just make sure you're clear on what it is you're actually looking at when you look at these individual metrics. So Google does a very good job in providing you with the definitions, both within the interface and within your documentation. These are some of the ones you need to be aware of. So understanding what actually is a session, aka a visit, understanding what an engaged session is, and then what engagement rate means within GA4. Understanding what total users are. So whilst GA4 uses active users, Universal Analytics will use total users. GA4 will provide two types of user metrics. So you will see active users and you will see total users. So just be aware that there are differences between the two. So when you're looking at users within GA4, you're looking at active users. And basically, an active user is any user who has engaged in a session in a particular way. So there's different definitions at play there. So jumping into some of the settings. So some of the things you need to be doing before you actually, jump into your reporting, because we all, we're probably all website owners. You're going to have things you're going to want to track and report on that are specific to your business. So we need to make sure that we're set up in the best way possible. So if you're running Google Ads, if maybe you have you're using another Google product, you're using something like Search Console, you'll want to link up these other Google products to your GA4 account. And what this will do is allow things like audience sharing between different platforms, and allow you to import GA4 conversions into the various other tools. So you can use the power of both tools. You can use the power of GA4 and use that data within things like Google Ads and Search Console. You can also link, if you have a Merchant Center account, you can also link up Google Merchant Center, and this will allow you to see your conversions from free product listings within search engine results. So there's a number of benefits to linking these tools. So if you have these tools already and you're using them, just make sure they're linked up to GA4. It will just allow you to have access to some additional information that you just simply wouldn't have if you didn't link up the products. We can adjust the data retention settings. So by default, when you set up GA4, the data retention period for how long an individual user data will be tracked is set to 2 months. My recommendation is to change that to the maximum of 14 months. So you've got at least a full year. So if they do return back after a 2-month period, then at least they will be flagged as a returning user. Anything beyond 14 months, so if someone visits at one point, and then they return over 14 months later, at that point they will be identified as a returning user. So I would just set it to like the maximum amount possible, which is currently 14 months. So that's just something you might want to take a look at and update when you're getting started with your GA4. The other thing we have is the default attribution settings. So as I mentioned, the default attribution setting within GA4 is set to a data-driven model, which basically assigns conversion credit to across channels based on a whole range of different type of factors, things like frequency, recency, the time till conversion and things like that. So there's different data models at play. The default one is the data-driven one, but you do have the option to be able to change that to like a last click, first clicked, or position-based model. So if you want something perhaps a little bit more in line with your universal analytics, then you might want to look at changing that to last click as opposed to data-driven. I've kept all of as practice, to be honest, I've kept all the accounts that I run, I keep as data driven because I believe it's the better type of data model. But if you want to, you are free to revert that to like last click.
Ed, there's a lot of new people on the call. It might be worth just going back to the last slide and just sort of pointing out the little diagrams just to explain what you mean by attribution, because there's quite a lot of terms that we've used like conversion and events tracking. If they've never used any analytics, they won't quite understand what that means. So you might just have to simplify what those ones are. So sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So there's different attribution models that you can use to assign credit to different channels. So, and we all know that, purchases that are carried out on the website, they're not always, linear. It's not like someone just simply clicks on one of your ads and then purchases straight away. So whilst that does happen, that's commonly not always the case. Often somebody is introduced to your brand via one channel. They then leave the website, go off, and they may return via another channel and then eventually convert. So when there's like more than one touch point at play, the question is like, how do you assign credit? How do you want to assign credit to that particular channel? Do you want to give it to the channel that first brought that visitor to the website? Or do you want to give it to the channel that actually closed the sale, that brought that visitor the final time to the website and before they converted? Or, do you want to like assign all credit equally across any channel that was involved in that conversion? So these are just some of the kind of questions that you need to kind of ask yourself and think through. How, as a business, do we want to assign credit, and what do we value more? Do we value channels that acquire users, or do we want to spread the credit more evenly across the various different touch points that visitors will have with our business? So by default, this is data driven, which is more kind of about like spreading credit across the different channels, but universal analytics will lean more on last click. So I just wanted to point out that there are attribution differences with GA4 versus GA3, but there are places in here where you can override the settings. The other thing is enhanced measurement. So this is really important, and this is activated by default. But one of the really good things about GA4 is that there's a whole bunch of auto tracking already built into the platform by default. So provided you got the pixel on the site, on your website, it will track things like clicks, scrolls, outbound link clicks, site searches, video engagement, file downloads, and will even now track form interaction. So when people submit a form or not on your website. So Not always perfect, but pretty good straight out of the box. So these things will be enabled by default. You might want to check, just check these in your settings to make sure you've got enhanced measurement set up and activated, because it will allow you to be able to report on a whole bunch of extra interaction that you just wouldn't have had before. So when it comes to conversion tracking, you need to know that GA4 is an event-based model. So everything that comes into GA4 is now, it explicitly comes in as an individual event. Everything from a page view to a file download to a form submission, everything comes in as an event, a GA4 event. There's a whole bunch of different events that can take place. They're categorized as like automatically collected events, enhanced events, and then you have your recommended like custom events you can send in as well. So there's many different types of event categories you can send into GA4. And you'll find these events coming into like dedicated reports, like the events report that you can find within the engagement section. So everything being collected will appear in this dedicated events area. We can also see it in other forms. So in things like the traffic acquisition report, where you have a drop down column where you can see the different events coming into your account. And the good thing is with conversions now, with those events that are coming in, you can mark any event that you have set up as a conversion. And it's as simple as just simply toggling a toggle within the conversion setup area. So any event you can now choose to mark as a conversion, and that will be counted towards your conversions metric. You can have up to 30 events you can select. So it's really up to you what you want to dedicate as a chosen conversion. My advice is just to kind of keep it simple, keep it to maybe just your primary KPIs, and just once you've made a decision, just be consistent with that. Do not keep changing these over time, because it's just going to add to confusion. So you decide what you want to be a conversion, and the choice is yours. Whatever you select is what will appear under your conversion metric. So it's a much more flexible way than using the goal-based model. We can send in extra info with each event as well. So, we can send in extra details about that event. So, if it's a video play, for example, we can also send in the video title and the video URL. So we have the option to be able to send in additional parameters with each event we send in. And these, these are all made available to you. So if you've got that enhanced tracking enabled, these will all be, you'll be able to find the majority of these within your account. When it comes to e-commerce, there is a new schema. So chances are you'll have to update your e-commerce schema. Although Google has release some things just in like recent weeks to make the process of migration a lot easier if you're still using like the older code. Chances are though you will need to update and will want to update to the brand new GA4 e-commerce schema if you're going to be using GA4. So just bear that in mind. And there is a dedicated reporting section that we will take a more kind of detailed look over shortly now. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to stop sharing this screen, and I'm actually going to load up GA4. I'm just going to show you around some of the Explorer reports. So to really kind of give you an idea of what can be created and where to look for some things. So what you can do is if you don't have your own GA4 account already, Google provide a demo store for GA4. So it's their own kind of merchandise store that they provide access to. So you can just simply Google GA4 demo store. It'll bring up a link, and then on that page there'll be a link to that GA4 demo store. So let me just share my screen. Okay, so here I am in the GA4 Google Merchandise Store. This area here is where you'll find all of your basic default reports right here. So under this section, we have things like the acquisition report, engagement and content. And then in this section down here, we have e-commerce. So this is the section where you'll be able to find things like which traffic sources are bringing visitors to my website right here. And this is everything that simply takes place during an individual visit. So you can scroll across here and you'll see those various different column metrics, column headers, each with different metrics within them. Everything from engagement rate to user count. If you go across, you will see there is a drop down here for the different events that you are collecting on the website. So it all depends on what's being collected already and what you're sending in addition. So you can basically toggle these different events, select the one that you want. So if you're interested in purchases, for example, you can just simply select purchase from the event list, and then the report will update and it will show you the event count for each individual channel. So you can kind of go through this list and see. You can, of course, change that to whatever you want it to be. So, it could be any, channels that are driving things like checkouts or maybe, file downloads or video plays. So whatever you have available is what you'll see in this list here. And you are free to toggle that accordingly. Then in this final column here, but in very similar, this is your conversion column. So anything that you have marked as will appear in this conversion section right here. And you'll see it in this list here. So if you just want an overall count of total conversions being driven, you can just leave that as it is. And you can look up the count here and you can see that for each individual channel. So these are the channels that are driving visitors to our website at the visit level. Okay, so this is what's driving visits. You're free to toggle this. So you can see it by campaign source. You can see it by campaign source and medium. So if you want a bit more detail about each individual channel, you can just drill down a little bit further by selecting something like the source medium. And this will help give you a bit more of a kind of detailed breakdown here as to what specific channel is actually driving visits and conversions on your website. So this is traffic acquisition. The second one here is user acquisition. So there's a difference between user acquisition and traffic acquisition. So that the difference is that user acquisition is all about how visitors were acquired for the first time. So it's basically the first traffic source that brought the user to the website. So this is a different way of, so it's the same report, but it's different data in so much as you're looking at the metrics by the traffic source that brought the visitor to the first time to the website for the first time. So these aren't returning visits. These are simply first time visitors coming via these different traffic sources. So this is a good way to really kind of understand the true efforts of your marketing, and which of those channels are actually bringing visitors to the website in the first instance. So you'll see here there's a whole bunch of different metrics available, from first user medium, source, all the way through to Google Ads and our group name. So the other question we have normally is, how do I see my Google Ads data? In order to do that, I need to hop into our own account here. So let me just load up our account. And in order to get this data to display, you first need to make sure that you have obviously Google Ads linked to your GA4 account, and that you have Search Console also linked. Where you can find this report is in the acquisition overview, is where you'll find links to this report. So you won't find it in this menu here. So I've customized this. So in your account, you will not see this in the menu right here. But where you can access it is by going to this acquisition overview. And where you want to look is right here. So believe it or not, this is your Google Ads report overview tab. And to actually access this full data, you need to actually click on the link. So you can see how well hidden this is once you actually link Google Ads to GA4. So you're going to want to click on this link. That is then going to load up the Google Ads campaigns report. And then this is where you'll be able to get sight of all of your Google Ads campaigns, and see the outcome of those the different campaigns driving traffic to your website. So you'll see that you have like the user session data, you'll have the click data, the cost data being pulled in, conversion data available within like the drop down list, and things like cost per conversion, total revenue, and things like that. So all much the same as in Universal Analytics, just a little bit more harder to access. You can then toggle this report by different dimensions, such as things like ad group name, keyword query, and things like that. So you're free to toggle that accordingly. Going back to the acquisition overview, just to show you Search Console. So very similar again, provided that you've actually linked your Search Console to GA4, you will see Search Console data. And again, you want to click on this link to then bring you the landing page data. So this is data coming from Google Search Console. So Google search traffic only. And again, you'll see the organic clicks, the impressions, the click-through rate, your average position for each landing page. So basically the pages that are getting indexed within Google. And you can then look across and toggle all the various metrics, and again, see engagement performance, conversion performance, and things like that. So you'll see that you can toggle by landing page, country, and device. And this is all Search Console data. To see the queries, you'll need to step back into the acquisition overview, and you will want to click on the Google Organic Search traffic. Oh, sorry, the Google Organic Search queries. So click the link to then be taken to a more kind of detailed report. And this is where you'll see the different search queries. So this is what people are punching into Google. So Google's not going to provide you with like all of the search data available, but it will provide you with a good portion of it and a good representative sample of the keywords that people are typing into Google to find your website. So you can use this to see that the clicks and impressions and the click-through rates, and then where you are being positioned. Unfortunately, you don't get conversion data, so you won't see any conversion data in this particular report, but you will see the keywords that are driving users to the website. So there's some of the highlights from there. So what I'm going to do is, what I really want to show you is the Explorer reports. Okay. So the Explore section is located right here under reports, and you click on Explore. And this will take you to like what I like to call like the analysis hub of GA4. And this is where you can create different types of custom reports and really do your analysis on the data you have. So you can use different types of models, and there's a number of models available. So if I just expand this, you'll see the different types available. So there's some predefined templates already available right here that we can create. So the first one that I want to do is show you guys how to create a landing page report, because this is something that isn't available within the default GA4 reports. And it's something a lot of people really miss from GA4 that they used to have in Universal Analytics. So I just want to show you how to get started with that. So to get started, we go into Explore, where we were. And what we can do is just hit blank template right here. And then what we can do here, first thing we need to do is actually import the different dimensions that we need and the different metrics. So basically we need to import all of the data we need. It won't be here. We need to create it from scratch. So how this works is you'll want to click on this little plus icon. We'll need to bring in the actual dimension. So in the first column, we want to have a landing page. And GA4 has recently brought this in as a dimension. This wasn't here going back 6 months ago. So you can now import that one. And that's the only one we need right now. So I'm happy just to have a landing page there. The next thing we want to do is bring in the actual metrics we want to see. So we want to see things like sessions. This is where a bit of understanding about the metrics that you need is important. So you need to know what you want to bring in. So that's why it comes back to like understanding the metrics, understanding what it is you want to report on. So there's a little bit of a learning curve there to understand what it is you actually need. So I'm going to bring in, let's say I'm going to bring in total users. I'm going to bring in engaged sessions. Oops, spell that one. I'm going to bring in engagement rate. So I'm just going through this list. I'm just ticking them on, and I'm going to bring in average engagement time per session. And engaged sessions per user. Okay, so now I've got those selected. I'm going to hit import, and they're going to come available. You'll see there's still nothing in my chart there. And then what I need to do after this is I can either choose to drag across into the rows. So I want landing page in my first column. And then what I can do is drag across the metrics. So these are going to go into my columns. So I'm going to drag that into my values. Sorry, not my columns. I can add the rest just by double clicking on each one. That'll bring it in quicker for me. Oh, and I can just add one more metric, let's say purchases, because I want to know which landing pages are resulting in purchases. So. Okay, so I've now got those in. I'm going to add in my purchases. So now I have my my landing pages. You will typically see like not set. That's okay, that's normal. You'll want to exclude that from your reports. So we can do that within the filter area down here. I believe you can also exclude it by just right clicking on it and excluding it. So if you don't want to see that anymore. But having not set is normal. It just means you're collecting data without necessarily a page being a landing page value being available. So here I now have created a landing page report. It's organized in order of sessions currently, descending down. But I can equally just toggle the column and organize it by things like purchases by simply clicking on the column, and that will reshuffle things around and show me purchases instead. I can give this exploration report a name, so I can call this my landing page report, like that. And that will save automatically. Just make sure you've got the relevant date range selected for the data you want to see. So you want to come in and update that. This report can be shared as well. So you can share this with other people. So within your own account, you can click on this little icon here and you'll be able to have that emailed as a PDF report, a CSV, a Google Sheets file. You'll be able to, send it to other stakeholders and schedule that report to be sent on different days. So with that saved, that will just be available within your account list. So if I go back, you will then see that in the reporting area back here. Right there, and that'll be available for you to then click into at any time you need to access that landing page report. You do have the option to be able to bring that landing page report into your dashboard, just so you know, if you did want to see that. But that's accessed in a slightly different way. So we'll do a couple more. The other one is the other one I want to show you are our video plays. So if we wanted to create a report for video plays, you have two options. So you can either add it onto another tab in here. So you can basically start another blank report directly within here, or you can come out and start a brand new standalone report from scratch. It's really up to you. So maybe I want to just start again on a separate new report, and I'm going to open up a new report, and this one is going to be say one for file downloads. So file downloads are tracked. So I'm going to do this in here actually. So file downloads are tracked by enhanced conversions. So we already have, provided that you've actually got file downloads on the website. Get back. Okay, trying to get into it. Hopefully, yes, here we go. It's brought it up. Okay, so say if I want to track file downloads, for example. So this is a little bit trickier. So I need to first understand what I actually need. And you'll find this in the documentation. So this is where you need to get familiar with what events are being sent in. So the Google guides here are very good for this. So this tells you everything about enhanced measurement and what's available. So if I go through this list, I will see that file downloads are tracked under the event of file downloads. And it's anytime someone clicks on a relevant file, such as the following. So it's tracking these extensions. And then the parameters that are available to me to use as part of that event are file extension, file name, link class, link domain, and a few others like link URL, link text. So I need to figure out what I need. So I know this is an event called file download. So I need the event name. The next one I'm going to do is file name, and then file. If I want to, I can bring in file extension. The other thing I'm going to want to do is then I need to know how many times that occurred. So I need event count. So I can put event name, file name, event count. And if it is any data, it's going to show me that. It looks like this demo account actually doesn't have any file download data actually within it. But I will show you what you would need to do in order to get it displayed. And what we need to do in this instance is apply an event name, and we want to filter the event based on file name. So that file name isn't actually here right now, but if it was, you would see it under within this list here called file name. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to filter it, and unhelpfully, it's not going to actually show any results because the GA4 merchant store hasn't actually collected any data, which is not very good for demo purposes. Take back the date range a little bit further, see where we've got anything now. And let's imagine we did actually have the data coming in. So this would give you the file downloads by the different file names. So this would tell you all the files that are being downloaded on your website. So you have a detailed description of each file name. If you have auto tracking in place and you have file downloads on your website, this is what you can do.
Can you do that with the demo with the Annika site? We are at 5 to 10, so I don't know whether you wanted to show anything else or.
Yeah, one more I wanted to do, which is a different type of model, which will be of interest to probably quite a few of you out there, is the funnel reporting. So the funnel exploration reports are really good within GA4, much improved over like what we had in Universal Analytics. So we first need to make sure we've actually selected the funnel exploration report. And what I'm going to do here is show you how to create a funnel report, say, based on a standard checkout. Okay, so what I need to do is bring in so I need to create the relevant steps for you right here. So if we actually edit the steps, so the different stages, so we need to select, the first one is view item. So we've got to actually select it. Then the second step is once we've actually added it to cart. So I'm going to call this add to cart. And I'm going to select the add to cart event, which is available to me. Add to cart. After the cart, they go to checkout. So this is what happens on this site, checkout. And then finally, after checkout, so I need to actually select it. It's begin checkout. And then finally, purchase. So I'm going to add in the purchase event right here. Okay, so now I've got a 4-step funnel. I've got step 1, step 2. I can already see the amount of people that have completed that those steps. I then need to apply that. And now you will see that I've created a funnel visualization where I can see how people are progressing across each stage. So I can see how many people are completing each step along the across each process. So I can see that 25% of people are actually completing the first step. I can see that after that, of those people, 36% of those people are then adding something to cart. 36% of those people are then going to checkout. So 25% of those people are actually adding something to cart. And 48% of people have completed the process. So you can see the different completion rates at each stage, and you can see also the abandonment rates at each stage also. So this is really useful. Like if you've got a sequence of pages, a sequential process, like a journey that people are taken on, this is a really useful way to be able to see that breakdown. You can, of course, filter based on different segments, different channels as well, if that's what you want to see. So, for example, you can filter based on first user medium, for example, if you want to break it down a bit further.
Ed, I'm very conscious that people disappear at 10, and there's a couple of questions that we probably need.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah. I'm wrapped up. I'm good. So any questions? There's obviously lots I could be showing you right now, but the basis of what you just saw there, that will really kind of help you along, especially like the basic Explorer table reports, just to have the confidence to have a go at building your own reports, getting the data you need is obviously really useful and valuable.
before what I'll do is I'm going to put some offers up for people that might want to get this installed themselves. But for some of you, if you've just got WordPress, then it's relatively easy for you to add the code in. So I put in a link for anybody that might be interested in that. There's actually 4 different combinations if you click on the link. So I'll just bring these up. If you want to get GA4 set up, then and you haven't got it already, which was about a quarter of you, we've got an offer. It's normally £1,000 to set this up. Now this does include the dashboard as well, but we are assuming that you've got something called Google Tag Manager, which Ed mentioned earlier on. Now if you are interested in just the setup, this one's the one for you. If you've already done the setup but you haven't built a dashboard, then you might just be interested in the dashboard. This is a Google Data Studio dashboard. It's now called Lookers, which is very confusing. This is sort of half that price. So if anybody is interested in a dashboard, if you click on the link, we can contact you afterwards because we'll track, and you'll be going over to the Annika page where you can see all of this stuff. This saves a lot of time, and it will be bespoke to you. So we'll basically install it and connect your existing account. So this is really for the people that have already got GA4, but they don't really know how to use it. And then the final one is a day's bespoke training. Just to give you some idea, the Annika team have been drip feed this over the last 6 months. We've been doing reports, bespoke reports, but most of us still feel that we need more training. So Ed's doing more training for us next month as well. Because if you don't actually use it, you won't be ready. So if you need training, we've got a day's worth of training, again, with a 15% offer. You can train up to 10 people. This can be in our training room in Leicester, or we can do this online. So Ed and James and Brad are in the team. And if you need all 4, we just group them together. And if you contact me today, I'll knock a bit more off. So if you want everything, then we've got the package. This is £2,000 reduced to 1,700. So have I given you the right one? No, that's not the right one. Sorry. I need to get the right one. So I'm not sure if there's any more questions. I try to answer them as we go along. I think it's definitely easier to install than it is to really understand how to use. And once you go into e-commerce land, then actually the installations, although they started to produce some plugins, the integrations are a little bit more complicated. Maybe while we're waiting, just if there's any questions on that. Yeah, lots of good comments. I'll just send up the one. If you could give Ed a review, that would be brilliant. He's spent a lot of time, his own time as well, trying to get to grips with this. And it keeps changing as well, doesn't it? That's the other annoying thing. You know, every time you go back in, something new is happening because it's an ever-evolving beast, really. Any hints on installation for the people not done before? Would you recommend Google Tag Manager or GTM, or would you recommend a plugin?
I would, yeah. I mean, the most important thing is just to get the pixel placed onto your website. So create that account. It's a 5-minute step to just create a new property. You do that within your existing Google Analytics account. Just get the pixel put onto your website by any means possible. The preferred way, recommended way, is to use Google Tag Manager. So for you guys that are maybe familiar with it, it's Google Tag Manager, tag management platform. It's another product by Google. Administer it by that. It will just save you a lot of headaches in the long run, and just be far more easier to update and add to as things evolve. So recommendation, get the basic page tag on, use Google Tag Manager to do it. And then from there, start adding in the extras like your additional conversion tracking and things like that.
And the thing is that we want to run them in parallel for 6 months or 8 months, don't we? Because we want to be able to compare the data. So if you know that if you've been measuring sessions in GA3 for the last 5 years and you suddenly see that you've got a different amount of sessions in GA4, you need to be able to sort of correlate the two so that when the GA3 data goes, you've got that information. And the Data Studio or Looker's report is good for that, because can you blend data from GA4 and GA3 in the same graph?
Yeah, you can do, provided that the labels are the same. Yeah, you can.
Okay, that's interesting. Excellent. Okay, I think we'll probably end up doing another session on this in the new year, because there's so many questions on it. We'll also try and get James and Ed to try and get a couple of blogs on some of this as well to help you. And there are a lot of other good videos out there, but it is moving all the time. And my advice to you is, because I use the current analytics every single day, is that you have to go in and play and just bite the bullet and just try and learn how to use it. So anything else from you, Ed?
No, someone just asked the question, can it be used on apps? Absolutely, that's absolutely.
Oh dear.
That's what it's designed to do. It's what it's built for. So it's code that can be used on both apps and websites, all under one interface, one platform. So a little bit more obviously implementation in order to get it onto an app, but that's totally what it's designed for. It's that integration of app and website together in one.
And from I don't know what because I had problems with my computer cutting out. Did you mention any of the things that it's better from a privacy issue and stuff like that? Because of all the cookies going and things like that. Did you mention?
Yeah, well, I didn't really kind of draw on that too much. I mentioned that it does a lot more modeling. It offers a lot more controls over data privacy that Universal didn't have, and that's perhaps why GA4 was pushed in so quickly, so that it could abide by data regulation, and it could handle the restriction of cookies and things going forward into the future. So it's a lot smarter and a lot more just smarter basically at tracking users, identifying users, and then modeling the data in order to recover any kind of data loss.
Excellent. All right then. Well, thank you very much. It's been a great session as usual. And next week, just to let you know, what's happening is we're working with Leicester Business Festival. And so our normal webinar isn't on Friday, it's actually on Tuesday. And the first session is part one. It's a 2-hour special, 9 to 11, on 3 types of digital marketing. So we're going to cover organic, social, and PR. So you should get a invitation in the next half an hour for that. And then the following Tuesday with Leicester Business Festival, it's the part 2, which is paid media. So if any of you are relatively new and you're interested in that, then please feel free to join that one. So thanks very much. We've got lots of love coming through for you, Ed. So speak to you all soon. See you next week.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good weekend as well.
Thank you, everyone.